What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name's Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show. Hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. We have a final score from this week's regular season finale between the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. The New York Giants narrowly squeaked by a final score of 23-19. And boy, this was an interesting one from start to finish. Even coming into the week, obviously this one had massive playoff implications. Now that the New York Giants have won with a loss by the Washington football team, the New York Giants would win the NFC East and qualify for the playoffs, but obviously if the football team do take it tonight from the Eagles, they will be the one moving on. Now, again, this one was really interesting. Obviously, a lot on the line. We didn't know how healthy Daniel Jones was going to be with him battling his hamstring injury. Also, Ezekiel Elliott and obviously the Cowboys extremely injured as they've been all season long. Now, we'll break that down in just a second. We'll go over a game summary, an overview of the box score and stats, and also preview tonight's game. And I'll give you my predictions on if the Giants do end up squeaking into the playoffs. But this was an interesting one, again, from start to finish. And what an opening drive by the Giants, who had just fantastic running game, who, you know, were playing a really bad running defense, but they've gotten better, you know, in the past few weeks. And they're actually, the Cowboys' best defensive game in terms of the running game was actually in Week 5 against New York. But Giants turned things around, ran the ball well really early. Dallas, again, forcing turnovers. They did a good job in the first half, forcing a fumble, recovering it. They got 10 points off of turnovers in the first half, and again, coming into this game, had 10 turnovers in their past 3 games. And this is a Dallas team where it's really unfortunate that they're not going to make the playoffs, but boy, you know, all season long, battled the injuries, obviously, with the Prescott one at the beginning of the season. A ton of injuries, especially on the line. And this is a team who really turned it on at the end of the season when they had to. Giants in the first half got a late touchdown and then the 57-yard field goal that brought the Cowboys within 11 going into halftime. Second half, Cowboys got a quick 3-and-out, saved by an Evan Ingram drop pass and an interception, which led to a touchdown. Again, Cowboys forcing more turnovers. Cowboys defense overall really started to stand up in the second half. It wasn't enough. Giants got the field goal at 24 to make it 23-19. And then afterwards, Cowboys had a few chances. But I think that the main play that a lot of people are going to be talking about here, and the one that really made this a tricky situation for the Cowboys, was right before that field goal. You have about a 10-yard reception that brought the Giants into field goal distance. And they hustled out their field goal unit. No challenge thrown by Dallas. And if you watch the replay back, that's a drop pass that takes the Giants out of field goal range. And all of a sudden, that's a 20-19 game instead of a 23-19 game. That was a huge play. I expect people to be talking about that again more and more after the post-game show, especially if we get to tonight, and especially if Washington does lose tonight. And, you know, it sucks to say, but that could be the difference between them making the playoffs, the Cowboys making the playoffs, and now the Giants making the playoffs. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's flip over to the box score now. We'll start with the Cowboys. Andy Dalton was not good. 29 for 47, no touchdowns. He threw an interception. But if you look at some of the passes he could have thrown, a lot of short balls, a lot of balls behind his receivers, probably could have been up towards that 2, 3, maybe even 4 interceptions if everything went to the Giants' ways. He ran the ball okay, surprisingly. Ezekiel Elliott also had 42 yards on the ground. Dalton had 48 on the ground, and Schultz led the way for them. 7 receptions, 70 yards. Again, offensively, not great. They got really shut down, I thought, by the Giants secondary playing in man coverage. Also, Giants absolutely destroyed at the line of scrimmage. You know, Dalton got sacked 6 times, but a lot of other dropbacks that he was under pressure. Giants did a great job in regards to that. If we flip over, Daniel Jones, he was pretty good. 17 for 25, 2 touchdowns in the air. The interception, though, wasn't his fault. For the most part, he threw pretty well. I thought he made some big passes. I thought he was really good, especially in the first half. Not so great in the second half. But Daniel Jones, young quarterback, got the job done, puts the Giants into a playoff situation. Giants ran the ball okay. They had 114 yards as a team on the ground. Shepard had a touchdown on the ground and in the air. He also added on 8 receptions, 112 yards, that touchdown. And then Dante Pettis had the other touchdown in the air. He had 43 yards in total. Darius Slayton was also pretty good. They targeted him a pair of times, and obviously he's an extremely fast receiver. He can do a lot of things downfield. In terms of the Giants defense, I thought they played really well. Let up a bit in the second half, but for the most part in the first half, they were really solid. I mean, the Cowboys, I don't think they converted a third down in the first half. They themselves were 0 for 6 on third downs, but I thought they did a really good job of, giving their offense chances to get back on the field. I thought they did a pretty good job in terms of shutting down the passing game and Andy Dalton and putting pressure again on him. I mentioned the 6 sacks. I thought that the real issue here sort of was the penalties that Dallas took on defense. I think it was 5 penalties at least that Dallas took on defense. We look at some really sloppy ones like the unsportsmanlike conduct. Yeah, and I think that gave the Giants some extra opportunities. And I think, again, you look at a game that was this close, and I think that, when you look at the missed challenge call and those penalties, I think that, ends up being the difference in the game. As for the Cowboys, they'll end the season a little disappointing, 6-10. Obviously wanted to make the playoffs, but they'll still get a decent draft pick when we look at the upcoming NFL draft. This is a team who really you weren't even looking at potentially winning this division a few weeks ago, but they really turned it on at the end of the season. Before this game, beat the Bengals, 49ers, Eagles in 3 straight games. And obviously, as I was mentioning before, the injury to Dak Prescott early on in the season really injured all over the team, especially on their line as well. And I think that for the situations that they were put in this year, they actually did fairly decent. In terms of the Giants, now you got a playoff opportunity. 6-10. If the Giants do make the playoffs, they will be the first 10-win team either ever or in a very, very long time to make the playoffs and get a home game in their first game and win a division as a 10-loss team. They had lost 3 games prior to this game, but they get the job done after their losses to the Cardinals, Browns, and Ravens. They had a very, very tough end of the schedule, but again, credit to the Giants, for their injury with Barkley at the beginning of the season, figuring it out, getting the job done. And then obviously, we got the big, big game tonight between the Eagles and the Washington football team. If Washington wins, they're in. If they lose, it's the Giants in. That one kicks off at 8:20 Eastern time. Definitely tune into that if you're an NFL fan, if you're an NFC fan, want to know who your team is going to be playing next week. The Eagles are resting guys, though, so a little bit of an unfortunate situation for Giants fans, but you never know what's going to happen, and that one should be an interesting one. But if you guys did make it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this game. Let me know your thoughts on the Giants down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more content just like this, and I hope to see you guys next time.